Right now, we do have Zohran Mamdani, the New York City mayor-elect, who is walking up to the podium. Let's lift up the audio.
Everyone set? Let's go. Good? All right. I will be heading to Washington, D.C. tomorrow to meet with President Trump in the White House. It is customary for an incoming mayor of this city to meet with the White House, given the mutual reliance. It's more critical than ever, given the national crisis of affordability, one that New Yorkers know very well across these 5 boroughs, and the specific challenge many cities are facing with balancing public safety against steps taken by this administration. I know that for tens of thousands of New Yorkers, this meeting is between 2 very different candidates who they voted for the same reason. They wanted a leader who would take on the cost of living crisis that makes it impossible for working people to afford living in this city. My team reached out to the White House to set up this meeting because I will work with anyone to make life more affordable for the more than 8.5 million people who call this city home. I have many disagreements with the president, and I believe that we should be relentless and pursue all avenues and all meetings that could make our city affordable for every single New Yorker. I intend to make it clear to President Trump that I will work with him on any agenda that benefits New Yorkers. If an agenda hurts New Yorkers, I will also be the first to say so. Thank you. This is an opportunity to make the case for New Yorkers. And it's a case that reflects what New Yorkers are having to live through at this time. When we speak about an affordability crisis, we're speaking about 1 in 4 New Yorkers living in poverty, 1 in 5 struggling to afford $2.90 to ride the bus. New Yorkers for whom the daily acts of life are becoming increasingly harder to afford. And that's an opportunity I have to make the case to President Trump, to the White House, as to what it means to have to suffer through this affordability crisis and what it means to make it even more difficult to do so.
I'm wondering, he called you a communist in the announcement, which seemed a little belittling. I'm wondering, are you concerned that this meeting will actually bear any sort of fruit, or whether it will be another opportunity for him to try to publicly embarrass you? And could you go into any specifics about what you specifically want to ask him, or any specific requests you have for the president in this meeting?
I'm not concerned about this meeting. I view this meeting as an opportunity for me to make my case. And I'll make that case to anyone, frankly, as we've been doing over the course of the campaign, and now as I will be the next mayor of this city. It behooves me to ensure that I leave no stone unturned in looking to make the city more affordable. And this is a meeting where I look forward to speaking about the affordability agenda, public safety, and economic security for each and every person that calls the city home. I see the implication being that every commissioner should be a fierce advocate for those that work for their department or their agency. And I look forward to ensuring that that is the case across the entirety of my administration, where when I have a meeting with a commissioner, I know that they are bringing forth the concerns of those that they work with, those that they represent, so that we can ensure that we're actually addressing those concerns. No. This was not a copy of an email that we needed because, frankly, we've been having discussions about the agenda that we share, and I'm not looking to micromanage every single person that works for me. I'm looking to trust them to do their job and know that ultimately I'll be responsible for the work that they and everyone in my city hall does. Thank you. I can confirm to you the things that I've actually said and the things that I've actually done. And last night, I spoke to DSA members, sharing the same message that I've shared in public as well, which is that I do not believe this is the right time to wage this primary. Right now, my plans are to meet with the president and make the case. As soon as I have any more information, I'll share it. Well, I'll be ready for whatever happens.
Yeah, right here.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, do you have any sense
talk
in
to that
advance
president.
of where you might find some common ground on?
Sorry, would you mind saying that one more time?
Sure. Do you have any sense in advance where you might find common ground with the president on the agenda and the case that you want to present? And where do you think you might have the most success with him?
You know, last year, after the president won his second term, I went to two of the neighborhoods that saw the largest swings towards Republicans. And that was Hillside Avenue in Queens and Fordham Road in the Bronx. And when I asked those New Yorkers who they voted for and why, I met many who voted for President Trump, and they told me it was the affordability crisis. It was cost of living, cost of living, cost of living. And they said that they remembered being able to afford their rent, their childcare, their Con Ed, their public transit more 4 years ago than they could in that moment. And we ran a campaign focused on the same thing, cost of living. And what we found actually is that 1 in 10 New Yorkers who voted for Trump ended up voting for our campaign. And they did so because they're looking for leaders to actually deliver on the cost of living crisis. That's why everything comes back to making the case for an affordability agenda. I will meet with anyone, I will speak to everyone, so long as it could stand to benefit an economic agenda for New Yorkers. And that's where I will always make the case.
Mr. Mayor, how are you?
Hey, how's it going? You're not cold?
Got a jacket here.
Yeah.
So you appointed Jessica Tisch as your next post commissioner yesterday. You've been talking about all the things where you agree on, right? You seem to have insinuated a new kind of SRG to respond to protests. What about things you don't agree on? What about the 2019 criminal justice reform? Where did you land on that? And as well as the gang database is something you called for during your campaign that you would eliminate.
You know, I think that these are disagreements that are actually signs of a healthy relationship. And I mean that in that too often mayors and leaders are looking to surround themselves with people who are characterized by the quickness with which they can say yes, as opposed to the quickness with which they can tell you their honest opinion. And I'm very clear in my support for the criminal legal reforms. For example, one disagreement that I have with what the commissioner has stated is I believe the issue with raise the age is not the language within the legislation. I believe the issue is the fact that there were significant amounts of money that were set to be delivered to help with the implementation of that criminal legal reform that were never released and continue to languish within Albany. That is one point of disagreement and one place where I continue to hope to advocate for the release of that funding.
And what about the gang database?